Life is like a long journey filled with unexpected twists and challenges. Along the way, we meet companions. Some bring joy and connection, while others leave us with wounds and disappointment. Some relationships begin with sweet promises like a radiant sunrise, only to quickly descend into the darkness of chaos, pain, and loss. We find ourselves caught in the whirlwind of manipulation and control, losing our true selves in relationships that once seemed to promise happiness. Today we will face a daunting challenge together, the aftermath of leaving a narcissist. This is a difficult journey that requires courage, perseverance, and above all, awareness. Why is it so hard to break free from a toxic relationship? Why do the cycles of idealization, devaluation, abandonment, and hoovering keep repeating endlessly? How can we navigate the emotional storms, see through illusions, and find true peace for our souls? With logic and understanding, we will analyze the patterns of control, manipulation, and the deep wounds inflicted by a narcissist. We will uncover the hidden strength within each of us, enabling us to move beyond the pain, reclaim our freedom, and build a life of dignity. Join me on this journey of self-discovery and transformation. Everything begins like a dream. You are cherished, adored, and it feels like you have finally found the perfect missing piece of your life. They shower you with compliments, drape you in affection, and make you feel so special that you believe you are. But then, without warning, it all comes crashing down. You are criticized, devalued, and even made to question your own reality. It feels like being dropped from an overwhelming height. No warning, no comfort, just confusion and pain. This is not random. This is the well-rehearsed game of a narcissist, a meticulously calculated cycle of manipulation designed to keep them in power and control. They build you up in the idealization phase, placing you on a pedestal, only to slowly devalue you, discard you, and ultimately pull you back in with their manipulative hoovering tactics. Every phase is crafted to satisfy their insatiable need for control, while making you increasingly dependent on them. In relationships with narcissists, deception is the sweet trap. They make you believe their love is real, that if you just try a little harder, you can return to the blissful perfection of the beginning. But the truth is, those promises exist only to keep you ensnared in their intricate web of manipulation. Look closer. This is not real love. They do not truly see you, nor do they value your authentic self. What they see is merely a mirror reflecting their need for control and self-importance. To them, you are not an independent individual, but a tool to reinforce their sense of power and superiority. But the pedestal they place you on is not a solid foundation. It is a shaky chair, temporarily propped up for their benefit. Before long, the sweet words turn into cruel criticisms. This shift is not accidental. It is part of a deeply ingrained manipulation strategy. The narcissist starts eroding your identity, slowly chipping away at the self-worth and confidence you once had. You begin to disappear. The things that once made you proud are now dismissed or belittled. In their place, you are engulfed by feelings of shame and insecurity. You ask yourself, how could someone who once loved me so deeply now treat me with such disdain? The bitter truth is that the affection they showed in the beginning was merely a facade, a tool to gain total control over you. When they sense that you can no longer fuel their endless need for admiration, that you no longer satisfy their craving for unconditional validation, the next phase arrives, discarding. The discard happens swiftly and mercilessly, like a sudden storm that wipes away everything you thought you had. They do not need you anymore, or rather, they no longer need what you can provide for them. The narcissist's cold indifference, their cruel disregard may leave you wondering, was anything we had ever real? But sadly, that is not the end. Like a puppet master pulling strings, the narcissist may return, not out of love, not out of genuine remorse, but to drag you back into their cycle of control. They use promises of change, tender whispers laced with manipulation, all to re-establish their dominance. This cycle is not a mere flaw in the relationship. It is the manifestation of a fractured spirit, a heart shackled by arrogance and fear. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "What disturbs us is not events themselves, but our perception of them." Narcissists, trapped in their obsession with control, are merely victims of their own deep-seated fears and insecurities. They live in a distorted reality built on illusions of power, where controlling others is the only way they feel they exist. But the truth is, you do not have to remain trapped in this cycle. Recognizing the nature of this relationship is the first step toward breaking free. Marcus Aurelius, in his profound reflections, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Escaping a narcissist is not just about leaving a person. It is about liberating your soul from the chains they have placed upon you. Imagine yourself as a puppet, controlled by the hands of a narcissist. Every gesture, every word you speak is dictated by their desires and intentions. But you are not a puppet. You have the power to cut those strings and stand firmly on your own. True strength comes from within, from the realization that your worth is not determined by how others perceive you. A narcissist often returns with sweet promises, seemingly sincere apologies, and displays of regret that make you hesitate. They know exactly how to exploit your weaknesses, how to evoke beautiful memories to make you forget the pain. But this is just another part of their cycle of control. Do not let empty promises lead you astray. Ask yourself, if they were truly capable of change, why didn't it happen before you left? Their return is not about love, it is about power. They cannot tolerate losing control. They fear the emptiness within themselves, the void where admiration and submission once fed their fragile ego. As Epictetus wisely taught, we cannot control others, but we can control how we respond. When you recognize a narcissist's true nature, you understand that resisting their allure is not just about willpower, it is about protecting yourself from an endless cycle of pain. Narcissists are not just enslaved by arrogance, but by deep-seated fear. Their dependence on manipulation and control is their greatest wound. They cannot truly see the value in others because they cannot face their own vulnerability. But you do not need to carry that burden. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If it is not yours, do not carry it with you." Their fears and insecurities are not yours to fix or endure. When you decide to break free from a narcissist's control, their first reaction is often like a volcano erupting, spewing fiery rage that burns everything in its path. This is not just disappointment, it is the anguished roar of a wounded soul, a cornered beast desperate to reclaim its lost dominance. You will feel as though you are standing in the midst of a wildfire, the heat of their wrath suffocating your spirit, leaving you confused and overwhelmed. Their rage is not a passing outburst. It is a manifestation of profound insecurity, a mind torn between the fear of abandonment and an insatiable thirst for control. But just like a fire that burns through its fuel, their fury will not last forever. Once their rage subsides, they will switch tactics, resorting to something more insidious, ridicule and contempt. Like a sharpened blade, their words will cut into your self-worth, wounding you not only with their harshness, but with the cruel intent behind them. With scornful remarks and destructive criticism, they seek to make you doubt yourself, your value, your abilities, even your very existence. They plant seeds of uncertainty in your mind, keeping you trapped in a cycle of self-questioning. Yet there is something even more terrifying than a narcissist's anger, their indifference. It is like an iceberg floating in the vast ocean, cold, detached, and utterly void of warmth. Their silence makes you feel as though you never truly existed in their world. They do not yell, they do not fight, instead they drape you in a blanket of oblivion. This apathy is not just a reaction, it is a strategy, a carefully orchestrated performance designed to make you believe that your departure meant nothing. Through their icy demeanor, they send an unspoken message. You were never important enough to matter. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "The strong are not disturbed by the contempt of others, for such contempt harms no one but the one who gives it." Remember this when faced with a narcissist's indifference. Their behavior does not define your worth. It only reveals their deepest insecurities. Their coldness is nothing more than a mask. a shield protecting their fragile soul from the pain of rejection. They fear that acknowledging their pain would expose their weakness, something they cannot accept, so they construct walls of indifference pretending as if you never existed or meant anything to them. This is a calculated move designed to make you regret leaving, to manipulate you into believing you were the one who was wrong. They want you to come back, not out of love, but because they cannot bear losing control over you, their source of validation. But look deeper beneath their mask. Beneath the facade of indifference lies a heart filled with fear and insecurity. They are terrified of facing the truth that they have lost control over someone who once fueled their ego. They are afraid of loneliness, of emptiness, and of the realization that they are incapable of forming genuine connections. As Epictetus once reminded us, the wise man does not seek his value through the approval of others, but from the contentment within himself. The same applies to you. Do not let their coldness deceive you into thinking your worth has been erased. Their indifference is not meant to free you, it is meant to punish you. It is a way to avoid confronting their own failures, to make you doubt yourself. But the truth is this: you are not to blame. Your decision to leave was not a rejection of their worth. It was a declaration of your own. Do not let yourself be trapped in their game. Their silence, their detachment, it is a final attempt to regain power. But you did not leave because you were weak. You left because you deserve better. You deserve a life free from the toxic cycles of manipulation and control. When the toxic cycle keeps repeating, the narcissist's need for control continues to grow, constantly fed by their web of deceit, manipulation, and deadly charm. Their false promises and irresistible allure become invisible chains pulling you back in. You wonder, how can I escape this trap that seems impossible to break? But what many fail to realize is that beneath the dazzling facade of confidence, beneath the appearance of power and charm, lies a tragic truth. The narcissist is also a victim of their own unhealed wounds. Like tangled vines twisted beneath the dark earth, their behaviors may seem erratic, chaotic, and self-serving on the surface, but in reality they stem from a fractured foundation built during their earliest years. Imagine a young sapling battered relentlessly by the wind. No matter how much it tries to grow straight, its trunk remains bent. Similarly, the heart of a narcissist has been deeply wounded in childhood, trapping them in a cocoon of insecurity and fear. Instead of growing in fertile soil filled with love and safety, they were raised in barren ground, where the seeds of rejection and emotional neglect were sown. A child who never received true recognition or affection grows up with a craving soul, constantly searching for something to fill the hollow void within them. The narcissist, beneath their mask of arrogance, is simply an inner child who was never held in the arms of unconditional love and security. Marcus Aurelius once wrote in Meditations, "Whenever someone does wrong, it is because they do not know any better." Apply this wisdom when looking at narcissists. They do not intentionally choose to be cruel, they simply do not know another way to cope with their pain and insecurity. Instead of learning to love themselves and others in a healthy way, they construct an impenetrable armor to protect themselves from the fear and vulnerability that haunt them. Because their core emotional needs were never met, they never learned how to develop their emotions fully. This leaves them trapped in a cycle of dysfunction, where control over others becomes their only source of safety, and external validation becomes a temporary painkiller. But no amount of validation is ever enough. It is like trying to fill a leaking cup. The more you pour in, the emptier it becomes. Imagine their insecurity as a slow-burning fire consuming them from the inside. They use control and charm to cover up that fire, to soothe the unbearable ache deep within. But the fire never dies. It smolders beneath the surface, ready to ignite whenever they sense rejection or a threat to their fragile ego. They do not just want control, they need it, as desperately as they need air to breathe. And that is why, even after you have escaped their toxic cycle, they still try to pull you back. To them, losing you is not just losing a person, it is losing the illusion of power, the only thing that gives them a sense of worth. But you must understand this. It is not your responsibility to fill the emptiness inside them. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Do not try to control what is beyond your power. Instead, master your own mind and actions. This wisdom is crucial in your situation. You cannot fix their wounds. Only they can face and heal their own pain. The only thing you can do is choose to step out of the toxic cycle and protect your soul from further damage. You owe it to yourself to walk away, not just for your survival, but for your healing, for your freedom, for the peace you deserve. Look back at everything you have endured. They promised change, wielded their charm to reclaim control, but those promises were as empty as the facade they wear. The cycle of idealization, rejection, and reeling you back in is not a reflection of love. It is a manifestation of dependency and the need for dominance. Every promise they make is just another thread in their web, another tool to keep you tethered to their world of insecurity and fear. You cannot allow yourself to remain bound by these invisible chains. Understanding that their behavior is a result of their past wounds may give you clarity, but that does not mean you must sacrifice your own peace. You are not responsible for healing them. Walking away, stepping out of this cycle, is the only way to reclaim your freedom and begin your own healing process. And remember, as Epictetus taught, you have control over your own life. You are not a helpless victim in their game. You have the power to choose, to walk away, and to redefine your worth, not through the eyes of another, but by living a life that is true to your essence and your dreams. Though this journey may feel difficult, each step forward brings you closer to freedom and inner peace. You deserve a life that is not dictated by manipulation and control, a life where you decide your own direction. As Seneca wisely said, life is like a river. You cannot control its flow, but you can learn how to navigate it. Let that wisdom be your guiding light, reminding you that no matter how strong the currents of life may be, you have the power to find your own path. A path no longer controlled by the narcissist, but one shaped by your strength, your courage, and your unwavering resolve to live freely. Leaving a narcissist is not just a grueling journey, it is a profound lesson in freedom, self-respect, and the true meaning of self-love. It is not merely a breakup, it is a courageous declaration that you deserve better than what you once accepted. But to achieve this liberation, you must face a series of difficult consequences, ranging from explosive rage to icy indifference, from manipulative mind games to relentless hoovering attempts to pull you back. These behaviors are not just about maintaining the narcissist's control, but also about testing the limits of your patience and emotional endurance. However, every step away from this toxic cycle is a step toward a life of freedom and fulfillment. By recognizing and breaking the cycle of idealization, devaluation, hoovering, you are not just walking away from a person, you are freeing yourself from the emotional shackles they have placed upon you. This journey demands not only courage, but also deep self-awareness. You must learn to see yourself not through the distorted lens of the narcissist, but through the eyes of compassion and self-love. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "We are not disturbed by what happens to us, but by how we perceive it." Remember, the narcissist's attempts to control you and pull you back do not define your worth. They only reflect their own fears, the fear of abandonment, of being forgotten, of having to face themselves. When you see their actions as a reflection of their internal wounds, rather than an indication of your value, you begin to experience the liberating power of understanding. Leaving a narcissist is not the end of pain, it is the beginning of rebirth. You will face deep emotional wounds, feelings of confusion, self-doubt, and sometimes overwhelming loneliness. But know that these emotions are temporary. Over time, you will realize that nothing is more valuable than rediscovering yourself. Bit by bit, you will rebuild your self-esteem, reclaim your voice, and learn to love yourself in a way that is whole and complete. Most importantly, you are not alone. Many others have walked this same path, carrying their own stories of survival and victory. They, like you, once felt trapped in the narcissist's intoxicating illusion, but they found their way out. They are living proof that you can do it too. You can step out of the darkness and rediscover the light within your soul. On this journey, allow yourself to feel every emotion you experience. Cry if you need to. Face your pain instead of avoiding it. As the philosopher Seneca once taught, pain is an essential part of healing. You cannot know how strong you are until you have faced your greatest trials. Tears are not a sign of weakness. They are part of your release, a way to cleanse your soul and prepare for something better. As you continue forward, remember that you are not just escaping a toxic relationship, you are opening the door to a life of freedom, where you can be fully yourself without needing validation from anyone. That freedom may come slowly, but it will come, and when you finally feel peace filling your heart, you will know that every hardship you endured was worth it. Look in the mirror and tell yourself, I deserve love and respect. I deserve a life that is free from control and constraint. This is not just a statement, it is a declaration to the world that you are ready to step into a new chapter, one of peace, strength, and wholeness like never before. And finally, always remember, you are not a shadow in their story. You are the protagonist of your own life. Choosing to leave is not the end. It is the first step toward a future that you shape with your own hands. A path filled with hope, freedom, and rebirth. You deserve happiness, and it starts with you.